Welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. This show is brought to you by Oakley Trucking, headquartered in North Little Rock, Arkansas. The purpose of this podcast is to communicate with Oakley owner-operators and their families by giving them up-to-date information concerning Oakley Trucking and the trucking industry, from business advice to safety updates to success stories. Also to give an insight to outside truck drivers that might be interested in joining the Oakley family. Hi, this is Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is episode 19. On today's podcast, we're going to talk to Justin Jolly, the terminal manager over at Inola, Oklahoma, and we're also going to get a little input from Justin Oakley, VP of Bruce Oakley Incorporated, and discuss some details of Oakley Port 33 over there. Before we get to that, always want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast. It helps a lot getting feedback from you that we get. We appreciate all the input from you. And if, as always, if you got any topics, let us know. And if you want to touch on something that you hadn't heard, let us know and share it with your friends. But first, let's hear from Vickie Chastain for our weekly Need to Know segment.
Oakley Trucking offers our owner-operators many ways to save money, from insurance discounts to fuel discounts. But one of the most commonly overlooked discounts are on tires. That's this week's Need to Know segment. One discount is through Goodyear and can only be used at Goodyear Commercial Service Centers. You're required to use an account and approval number. Our most common discount is the Michelin National account, which is good for Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. This can be used anywhere that has access to the Michelin National account, which includes all Loves, TAs, Petros, and Flying J's. For more information on tire discounts from Oakley Trucking, call the office and ask for Brian Walden. I'm Vickie Chastain, and that's this week's Need to Know segment.
Okay, guys. I'll tell you what, before we get started here, Justin Jolly, let's give us a little bit of history on you if you don't care. So I think everybody knows you at Oakley Trucking, but just in case all the owner-operators and their families don't, give us a quick history of where you started and how you ended up at Oakley.
I started back in October of 2005, so going on 15 years now. Started in the pneumatic division. Ran our straight tanks over there for about 3 years, I guess, and then moved over to the vacuum pneumatics. Ran those for a few years, and then stepped in where I was in an operations role over all the pneumatic division, and then went to recruiting for about 8 months and got to live a little bit of that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then we got this opportunity came up where we bought this Port, and that's where I'm at now. So
the majority of your time's in just a lot of it's pneumatics and hoppers.
Mm-hmm. And end dumps.
So
we ran both out of the Port there.
Yeah.
What we do today. And
got a family?
Got a family, got a wife, Nikki. She's a school counselor there in Bixby, Oklahoma. And got my son, Ethan. He's 15 and a half. Just got his learner's permit, so we're going through that joy of teaching him how to drive.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those days.
His mom's doing most of that, so I just get to listen to all the...
I got a quick story to you. So I was mowing a yard in my neighborhood on the back street, so you could see this back street behind me. And I had my son over there, and he was about 12 or 13. He was helping me. And we got done, and I said, son, you take the truck and just drive around the block to the house. I'm going to just ride the mower around there because we didn't have it trailered or anything. So off he goes, taking the truck, and he goes around there. Well, he was a late bloomer, so he was a little dude, he could barely see up over the steering wheel. So he's going around, and I'm taking off on the lawnmower. I can see through there. I can see my house. And I see a cop in the driveway behind my truck. And all I do, and in the driveway, I can see my wife just pointing at me going, there he is. It's his fault. And I've tried, and they wait till I get all the way around there and pull in. And then I have a conversation with the policeman, the Bologna PD. He got my boy for driving underage. I said, man, yeah, it's definitely our fault, but we're just going around the block. So anyway, it was,
well, it's been interesting for sure.
I hope you don't have any of those problems.
No, we've had a few bushes that have been de-leafed, and we haven't had any mailboxes knocked down yet. But I just bought him an old pickup truck, and I figured, hey, at some point I'm probably going to have a little damage on it.
Yep.
So
you're probably right.
But I've got another son, Asher. He's He's 12 now. And got my little girl. She's at 9. So 3 of them.
Good deal. Good family. I know I've met them all and see them all when I come over there. Good family. You got a good looking family.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Also, we got Justin Oakley joining us. Hey, what's going on, Justin?
Hey, Jeremy.
Y'all all know Justin. He was the guinea pig on the first podcast.
Inaugural episode.
I appreciate you doing that too. That got us out there.
Yeah. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Port 33 to give our listeners an idea of what's going on over there, because we got a lot of owner-operators that, they think we might have had that thing forever. And then you got some that don't even know about it, I'm sure. So, let's give us a little bit of history, and both of you can kick in. Jolly, you can start us off if you want to, but kind of give us a little bit of what goes on at Port 33, and why we acquired that place, if you don't care.
Well, we obviously there's a lot of truck traffic. You'll see in the height of the season, the height of the grain fertilizer season, which is typically your springtime, and you'll have a little bit of fall fill in there, but you'll see anywhere from 200 to 300 trucks a day that's going to roll in and out of that port. So there can be quite a bit of traffic that'll go on. On top of that, they're offloading barges into the various warehouses there for all the different customers. They're also loading barges out. Bulk of what is loaded out of there is petroleum coke, a refined coke. And then a lot of grain that's going to be shipped downriver from there.
And these are not our trucks, just so everybody knows. I don't want people thinking these are just our trucks going in there.
No, you've got every, probably out of that, if there's 200 grain trucks that are coming in a day, 100 of those are what they consider customer trucks. So they're farmers that are bringing their grain through the facility there. It's not really what I would call outside carriers. I mean, they're in-house, not for hire trucks that are coming in and out of there. And there's a lot that are picking up their own fertilizer too and taking it back to their own co-ops. So they're more along that not for hire truck as well. So, you have a lot of that happens that's being traded every day in and out of there. And then you have a lot of customers that are setting up their own trucks that we're trying to capitalize on when we, started the terminal there. So that was the main goal of kind of what we were looking at there, is that we saw a lot of opportunity in the grain fertilizer side of the world, which, is kind of the basis of how, the company got started in the beginning, was being a grain fertilizer type carrier. And, we kind of saw that opportunity there, and that's what we decided as far as opening the terminal there to try to capitalize on that.
I can remember dispatching years and years ago and dispatching loads out of Johnson Port 33. I mean, that was a place to get a load out of. Of course, I'd never been there. But once we acquired it and then you go over there, you're like, oh my gosh, why? And that was one of my first questions. Why are so many trucks coming in and out of this place? Can y'all explain that?
Well, we talked about it a little earlier. I mean, one of the biggest reasons why is because it is the furthest west that you can go on the river.
Right.
So that's the starting point coming off the Arkansas. And then, it's the ending point. So it's if you're going to have anything that's going to come out of that area and that's going to originate and go west or north to a degree, it's going to come from that Tulsa, Port 33, Catoosa area, and the grain as well,
because that's
getting it to the river.
The river, that's as far.
River traffic is just so much cheaper on a per ton basis than truck traffic,
and that's about as far.
Mm-hmm.
Like Justin said, as far as you can get with a barge.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
To either bring grain in. That's why so many grain haulers are coming in that place, dumping grain on barges and out, and then coming in too, fertilizer in, and then selling it to all out west and all kinds of stuff. And it's just, have we made any, since we bought this place in 2014, right?
Mm-hmm. February 14.
Have we expanded or done any more business? I guess what goes on at that place as a total package?
So yeah, we have built a new warehouse since we bought it. We added 30,000 tons of storage space, and that was primarily for our own fertilizer group. But that puts us at 139,000 tons of fertilizer storage there. So it's one of the biggest places in the country. That's the primary business, is fertilizer coming up river on barge. There's 6 to 8 different companies that lease space there. So that's enough where there's not a lot of companies that want to do all that business on their own, just because there's so much commercial risk and credit risk that comes along with that sort of business. So it's good for us to have these other tenants. It's good for the tenants to have our logistical support to reach their customers.
Right.
So it's a good fit on the fertilizer side. And then there's a different grain company that owns a grain elevator in our port, and they lease the property from us. So they take care of all the grain handling through there. And there's also a scrap metal company and an asphalt company that lease space from us there. So there's a lot of different things that go on.
Oakley owns the whole place from north and south side is what they call it.
Yep.
And then we have tenants that lease some space in there.
Mm-hmm.
That explains the grain guys coming in and going to that one place all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's especially certain times of the year.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that helps, I think, give our listeners an idea of what all goes on in that place, which I've been there a bunch, and it's still confusing. I mean, you can go in there and it's just stuff's going on like crazy. I mean, it's a busy place. They do a lot of stuff over there. One thing I was going to mention, and I don't know if there's much to elaborate on it, Justin, but when Oakley bought that place, they kept everybody.
Absolutely. It's one of the best crews, at any river port I've ever been to. So we were very fortunate to be able to. We wouldn't be able to make the place work without them.
Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Those people over there, they know how to work. They know how to take care of things.
Mm-hmm.
I've been impressed with them all the years I've met them and over there. And that was one of the things that impressed me when Oakley bought it. Dennis bought it. He kept those people. Because anytime one company buys another one, you're always scared of, if I got a job, what's going to happen. And that's just real impressive. I think that he kept everybody and kept them in business and just kept ginning like they were, just a different name. So worked out really good.
A lot of the philosophies between the two companies, Johnston's at the time and Oakley at the time, that was when I went up there and I visited with those guys and got to know them, I was like, you know what, these are pretty close to what we are. I mean, there's not, their mentality is the same. If there's a job that needs to get done, then, put your boots on and go get it done, and they want to please. They have a very service mentality of whether it's the owner operators that are coming in there for us or the other companies that are coming in there. They want to make it efficient and as timely as it will allow them to do. And if there's ever anything that comes up, they're real quick to try to fix the problems and make it where it makes it easier for the guys that are coming in there.
Well, and they've helped us a lot on the trucking side.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they've there's been some business that had been done for years and years and years there by, some other trucking companies that, when we purchased the port that, Steve and at the time, Steve Taylor and now Fred Taylor is the guy that runs the port there, runs both ports. Because that's worth mentioning too, that we have a place in Muskogee too that we operate. Yeah. So
yeah, true.
And that's operated underneath the same group there at Johnston's or at Oakley Port 33 is the same guys down there. So we had those two acquisitions whenever we bought it. So we just don't own the property at Muskogee. We just operate it. But I can't remember where I was going.
Well, that makes a difference. I'm glad you mentioned Muskogee because that is definitely a big. Yeah. That's been a big deal for us too in trucking. The trucking side of it. So we saw.
Oh, the business. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
No.
So they funneled some business towards our way. They talked to a lot of their customers that they had and said, "Hey, we've got an in-house carrier. We've never had that before." So we've been able to. With our barging department, with our ports, and with the trucking, we've been able to come back to a lot of customers and say, "Hey, here's something we can do for you."
We offer that package deal, man.
Right. We can get yours to New Orleans, and we can get it off the ship for you, and we can put it on your barge or our barges. We can bring it up here. We can offload it, and then we're able to,
store it and
truck it, or just go straight off the barge. Yeah. So, it's been a good thing that we've been able to offer this turnkey service for these customers. You know.
And from a Oakley trucking standpoint, so I can remember when we were talking about getting this place, and it was exciting knowing all the truck traffic coming in and out of there because they were doing 400 and 500 truckloads a day. Now, a lot of that was grain coming in and, fertilizer coming out, but a lot of other stuff too, which was just amazing that they can do that many trucks in a day, but they pump them out. So trucking, what kind of opportunity, I'm asking you this knowing the answer, but what kind of opportunity did trucking see there, you think, Justin?
Well, when we got up there and you and I talked about it yesterday, being out there and no asphalt, gravel and eating dust all day. And, Mac's up there in his RV and that's our shop or that's our office basically. And, just knocking doors, I remember Mac, we were sitting there and under the awning and he said, "I think we can get about 20 trucks pretty quick. I think we can get 20 guys up here that we can hire, that we can run in here, that we can make a living for." And I said, "I think we can do that too, Mac." And I think I blinked my eyes and we had 40. And I thought, "Oh, what am I going to do with them?" Yeah. Where am I going to? I got to get some customers. So I think that's what we saw is an opportunity. Guys want to be home. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So guys want to be home, they want to work around their house. That's your ideal job that you can have for, I think for an owner operator, I think that's what guys are wanting to do. And, we saw an opportunity where we felt like we could get guys home, maybe even during the week, for sure on the weekends. And that's what we were trying to capitalize in on. So.
Well, and it started out that way, and now
it's branched out.
Now it's branched.
now it's we'll get you home on the weekends,
Well,
so, but we started Tulsa, focused around Tulsa, Muskogee, kind of I-40 to Oklahoma City, and we just really tried to capture as many guys in that area as we could. And as we've gone along, we've said, well, there's stuff that moves to Texas and there's stuff that moves to Missouri and there's stuff that moves to Kansas. So we've just kind of tried to increase that bubble as we've gone along of trying to still stay within that area. But at the same time, we're seeing that we can get guys home to other areas because you just start learning all the different freight in that area.
Well, in the beginning, it was we wanted to create that core of customers like we have here in North Little Rock.
Right.
You've just got a core of stuff that goes on every day here, barge work or regular customers that you haul out of or fertilize. And, I think we got that over there. You guys have done a great job on establishing good customers around there and getting stuff done. And I know you're always working on more of that. And I think that was what I saw as a perfect place to open a terminal and, another trucking terminal, because we just don't do that everywhere. We want to, we got the one in Reserve, Louisiana that runs the local stuff down there. But this one out there in Tulsa or Inola is really has a potential to be another North Little Rock. So you guys have created a lot of local work out there, regional work. I got to be careful about that word local, because it's not really local work. We'll have guys wanting to get home every night, and that's not the case. We never tell anybody that. We always, get home on the weekends, but it's developed, and you guys have found a lot of that freight over there to do it. Is it more of that certain area times in the year, Justin, or is it, is it like that? Is it busy all year round?
It's not. As far as in and out of that port, it's not going to be busy all year round. It's going to be it's somewhat seasonal. Grain, crop yields have a lot to do with that, whether or not they're going to bring it to the river, or, if they're going to sell it direct to people that are going to take it and produce it. So that the fertilizer, very seasonal. Your spring is your big season. It's going to start about February-ish.
Yeah.
Somewhere around in there. And it's going to run till about sometime in, May to early June. And then, you're going to die off a little bit there in July and August. I just kind of call it the dog days. It's so hot outside. There's no rain, so you just can't do a lot with fertilizer when that's going on. And then, towards the end of August, 1st of September, pretty much from September to November, you'll have, a fall run. And it's really a lot of top dressing and, just kind of getting ready to go out in the field and cut. So, that's kind of the seasons that it runs. So Dustin in recruiting and JP and Kent, and Corey and those guys, they'll reach out and say, what about this guy? He lives in, middle of Kansas somewhere, southern Nebraska. Can you get him home every weekend? And I'll say, well, certain times of the year I can, and there's going to be other times I can't. So it's just going to run seasonal as far as that goes.
Right. But that's just part of your freight you have.
That's part of it.
I mean, that's just the stuff coming in and out of the port.
Correct. Yes.
I mean, you've got a lot of other stuff to do besides that.
Right. Yeah. It's just, yes.
I mean, there's just, that just adds to your already, keeping guys busy. Then when that rolls in, that takes priority.
Yes. Yeah. We'll hit those seasons, and, we're going to be getting calls from a multitude of different customers that are going to be moving in and out of that port, mainly out, with the lion's share being our own company. That's what we've moved the most material for, and that's been a good thing, I think, for the fertilizer side of the world.
Jelly, you were talking about the port funneling business to you, but the trucking side has actually funneled some business towards Oakley Fertilizer. It's kind of, they build off of one another. I know we've got a few customers. They want Oakley Fertilizer does some custom blends and stuff there at the port, so they can send some finished product, straight to end users. But there's a few of them that they only want it if it's coming on an Oakley truck, because they know that the timeliness is such a big issue. And I say, well, the Oakley guys, they show up on time. They're professional. That's worth something.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
So, yeah.
That's good. See there?
Yeah.
Works both ways.
We did something good.
Yeah. well, that, just to remind our listeners, we're sitting here talking with Justin Jolly, terminal manager over at our port in Inola, Oklahoma, and we got Justin Oakley giving us a little more information on it too while we're kind of giving you guys a lowdown on Port 33 because, and one reason I wanted to do this is, I just want our owner operators to understand what we're doing out of that port over there and why we have a trucking terminal over there also with everything else. And so they can get an idea because we lease on owner operators to, of course, work out there now. And how many you got? How many trucks we got over there now?
127.
And how many, what's the split? Dumps and hoppers?
71 hoppers and 56 end dumps.
Okay. So, man, who would have thought that? I mean, it's just, that's great. And how does that terminal communicate with North Little Rock?
So we've got, as far as the personnel in the office, we've got Kyle Haney that runs our end dumps, and Colton Campbell. Kyle's been here for almost 10 years. A lot of guys knew him from, he worked in Farmington, New Mexico at a place we had there. And then, the opportunity came up for him to move to Oklahoma and, or back to North Little Rock. And he chose Oklahoma, and I was glad he did because that was, really good to have someone there that already had 6 years of experience dispatching trucks. So it was I kind of said, here's the end dumps, and
yeah, he's
go
good
go make it happen.
He is really
so good. He's taken that by the reins and just gone with it. And Colton Campbell is there. He's been there about 8 months and doing a good job learning. And Kyle throws him to the ringer a lot, but that's how we learn here is to just you got to get in there. But he's doing a good job. And then we hired Seth Atkins, runs our hoppers over there, and he's been there a little over 2 years. And then Kyle Strickland is our newest guy. He started in, I believe it was February of this year. So he
coming on.
He's getting there.
Good.
He's getting there. He's
that first year is a blur anyway.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to hang on.
I remember when I got hired, I was working another job, and Manley hired me and Benny hired me, and they said, Manley said, you might want to take a week off before you start here because you're going to get going. And I said, nah, I can't afford that. Well, I wish I would have listened to him because that first year you're just grinding away every day, and
it's not for the weak, is it?
No, it's not. You got to be ready to go.
That I know we've got 120 something trucks now working over there, and we've got some really good owner operators. So we try to lease a guy on that lives in that area for you, and that don't happen all the time because we've been throwing guys at you right and left. But for the most part, that's the idea. But communicating with North Little Rock on the loads, I know a lot of our owner operators would like to know how that works because the communication. I mean, is there a gap there? Can you explain to our owner operators how that works?
At times there is, and I think in the beginning, when we first opened the terminal there, it was kind of, I don't want to say out of sight, out of mind, but it was, it was trying to understand that communication and, hey, we're still over here, and we're still here. But as time has gone along, we've Kyle's in constant communication on the end dump side with different guys here in Little Rock that are, keeping him informed of available freight that's being called in. He's talking to them about, I've got this guy that's going to get empty in, this state or this area, whatever the case may be. And they're, that has turned a 180 from what it was in the beginning, just trying to establish that line that we're still here, don't forget about us. So, that's really kind of smoothed itself out. Same thing on the hopper side. Seth is in communication with Brian and Russell. And we, on the hopper side, we use this program called Microsoft Teams where it's, we're kind of chatting back and forth, on the computer system, and everybody's just kind of, you're real time chatting there. So that's worked out real well on that side of the house.
Well, you got to have that, because if you're not under the same roof, the way we communicate, and we're all hollering and yelling at each other to communicate, I mean, you got to have something, because that's what I guess I want our owner operators to understand is they're, if you're, just because you're not dispatched out of North Little Rock doesn't mean that you're not going to have, you're not going to be able to have all the freight North Little Rock has. You're going to, I mean, we all sit and look at the same screen with the same loads in it, right?
Right. Yeah. We get that question a lot. Guys will come in, maybe thinking about moving to the Tulsa area that are dispatched out of North Little Rock. And, the first thing that, once they get around telling us what they're doing, they'll say, well, what kind of freight you run out of here? And we have to, say, well, we're going to run a lot of the same freight you're running right now, so we don't do anything different. We're all kind of operating out of the same deal. So that's a good point. I mean, we all see the loads. We all see the freight that's going in, and there's some stuff that we're going to do that, maybe the guys in North Little Rock aren't. And there's some stuff that guys in North Little Rock are going to do that we're not, like the local barges.
I was going to say that's your core stuff.
Yeah. Your local barge freight up there, for the most part, we do pull guys in out of North Little Rock from time to time when we need help. Just like Jason pulls, some of our guys in from time to time down here to help. But for the most part, that core stuff we're going to take care of. But that's, everything else, we're all just kind of working together to move the trucks, make sure that we have freight for everyone, and make sure that we're servicing our customers at the same time.
So what's the outlook looking like for the rest of the year out of Inola, Oklahoma? You gotta can you see into the future and kind of give our guys an idea of freight, what it's looking like?
As far as coming in and out of the port there?
Well, no, just
in general.
Just in general.
No, I can't. I've tried to, get a handle on where I think freight's going to go. I mean, we have seen it pick up some. It's certainly not there the way it was picking up in February, pre-pandemic.
Right.
We felt like things were really, you were seeing some things really start moving. So I think people want to go back to work. I mean, I think the industry wants to go back, but it's just not. I don't really have a good answer for that.
Well,
I mean, I feel like it is. I feel like we're on an upward trend. So we've done some things. We've gotten aggressive on some new customers. And I'm speaking purely on the hopper side because that's where I work a lot of. But we've gotten aggressive on some new customers over there that we've gotten, and ramped up some business with them. So that's going to be a good thing as the year goes along. We just started that in June. So we've got some things that are working real well for us. So,
good.
And then, we've got some guys that are out there that are, being aggressive to find freight, but, we've made it. I think we've weathered the most of the storm. Now it's just, trying to take everything that we've gotten and put it all together and keep this thing rolling. So
what about you, Oakley? You seeing about the same thing as far as the overall port 33? Is it ticking up a little bit?
I think so. I mean, there's still plenty of demand from the port customers there. So we've got a lot of opportunity. We're about to have to start replacing some of the warehouse space, the original warehouse space. So that's going to be a big undertaking there. But I think we're going to be able to do that in a way that doesn't disrupt the overall operation too much.
It's a lot better than this time last year out of the port. So,
that was a flood, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that was devastating.
Yeah.
Well,
those guys are happy to be loading and unloading barges right now, I would say. So,
yeah, big turnaround.
You know.
All right. Well, man, I sure appreciate all the input. You guys just think of anything else you want to talk
Driver's
about?
lounge.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Yeah, how about the
Almost
driver's lounge?
forgot all about that again.
Yeah.
So,
give us a lowdown on that.
So they're at the terminal. A couple things at the terminal that would help guys is, one is finding out what side you load on. So, we have multiple pickup numbers, and as Justin mentioned earlier, we got 6 or 8 fertilizer tenants there now. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
But, so there's 2 different sides of the port. There's a north side and the south side. So, when you're coming into the port, you either turn left at the stop sign or you turn right at the stop sign. Left is going to take you to the north side and right's going south. So, finding out that information would help you. If they don't know, you can call up there at the terminal and we'll be happy to tell you.
So when they get dispatched, they need to know whether they load out of the north side or the south side.
Yes, it would help them to save them some time. We have a lot of guys that come in that go to the north side to scale in and then only to find out that it's a south side number. And when you've got 30 trucks trying to scale in, that takes a lot of time to have to turn around. And now I got to go completely to the other side of the port just to get in another line of 30 trucks, So that would be great information for them to have going into, the terminal before they get there. So, grain, if you're bringing grain in, you're always going to get on the right side of the road when you're coming in. When you get to the stop sign, you're going to turn left and you're going to stay to the right side of the road. You can see that there's 2 lines that run there. One's fertilizer, one's grain, and it's always going to be on the far side of the road, running next to the river going north. And then the terminal there, we've got a new building that we built back in 2017 that we opened up. It's got a really nice driver's lounge in the back. So if you're looking at the front of the building, it's got a side entry, and you walk down to the west side of the building and go on the back side, on the west side of the building. On the back of that, you're going to see a door that says employee only entrance, and you're going to key fob in right there, and that's going to bring you into the driver's lounge. So
what about the key fob? Is that
same key fob that you get out of North Little Rock? If it's not working, just come see me and I'll get you one.
So the old one they've got still works.
If it works the Oakley trucking here, if it works the driver's lounge here, it's going to work that one up there.
Okay. So the old one doesn't work this one here.
Then they need to get a new one.
So they need to get a new one if they don't have it. Are you issuing those over there?
I can issue them here, or they, or IT or Tommy or whoever's doing it here can do it here.
Okay. So they need the
new key fob.
The new key fob for the new driver's lounge in North Little Rock to work the one in Oklahoma.
Right.
Okay.
And got showers in there, got a washer and dryer, got a TV set up, nice area
nice blacktop parking lot.
Nice asphalt.
Isn't that nice?
No, man. Yes. Very
so
nice.
Thankful for that.
I was very thankful whenever we finally got the port to put some asphalt down.
Yeah.
So took a little while, didn't it?
A lot of dust eating.
We got it done. A lot
of dust eating. All right. Well, guys, that we run over time a little bit, but that's okay. It's good information. Appreciate you driving over here, Jolly, to do this. And I think our owner operators and listeners will definitely get something out of it to know a little bit more about Oakley. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to give our owner operators and their families a little more insight of what's going on at the company they work with. So appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Anything else to add? Good.
I think we covered it.
I think we covered a lot too. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. Appreciate you listening to us. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate or review the show in the podcast platform of your choice and share it with a friend. We love hearing from our audience, so if you've got a question, comment, or just want to say hello, head over to our website, theoakleypodcast.com, and click the Leave a Comment button. We'll get you a response soon and may even share some of the best ones here on the show. We'll be back with a fresh episode very soon. Thanks for listening.